I'm going to talk about some squad building tips, and hopefully, if you're a new player, or maybe somebody who's been playing for a while and is just looking for maybe some different ideas, I'm just going to basically give a foundation on what I do when I'm building a squad. So, for the first thing I do is I try to have something that's going to have synergy. I want something that's going to work together with something else. So, I don't want to do like fusing ties. I wouldn't do just all different types of ties. Without any rhyme or reason, I want things that are going to work with something else. Howl Runner, for example, is crucial for any tie swarm because, what her ability does allows every other ship to really capitalize on their attack die. So, she turns the 2 attack die that all the cheap ties have into like 2.5. So it's a huge synergy. But if you're going to do that, you don't want all your eggs in one basket. So, another, great kind of synergy, if you have a HWK, if you have a support chip, Kyle Katarn is a really good support pilot for that ship. Well, all the pilots in there are good support pilots, but maybe you want to use Kyle Katarn. He can pass focus. So how do you synergize that? Well, who's going to capitalize from the focus? Maybe a Y-wing or a B-wing with torpedoes, or an X-wing with a proton torpedo. Or an advanced proton torpedo, which really needs the focus. So if you have another ship you're loading up on advanced proton torpedoes, they're going to have to get a target lock on the same turn. So this way you can guarantee that they're going to be able to have a focus and a target lock. Or maybe you're running a Y-wing with a blaster turret, and you don't know if you're always going to have the focus. You can have Kyle Katarn with maybe the multi-crow title and the crew that gives them an extra recon specialist, I think. No, that's something else. Regardless, the crew that gives him an extra, it's basically two focus per turn. This is like the standard Kyle Katarn build. So, basically synergy. You want things that are going to work together. You don't just want, ships that fit 100 points. You want ships that are going to work interchangeably with each other. So, you also need balance. Point 2, you need balance. You need to have some survivability, but you also need to be able to deal damage. So, if I'm doing it, I want a little bit of everything, but I don't want, all of one. Like, I don't want all, I don't want all tanks. I wouldn't field all Y-wings without torpedoes, for example, or without turrets, because they don't have that great of they don't have the best attack. So I would need, if I were doing a Y-wing build, I would need to have some torpedoes on there, or turrets. You can do a Y-wing turret build, but you need to have some teeth, and you also need some survivability. You wouldn't want to go, all ties, or you wouldn't put Howl Runner out there with a tie build. Unless you were going to give her some survivability. So, like, if you're running Howl Runner, you almost have to put a stealth device on her, because she's going to be the first person that the people go for every turn. So you need to balance out your teeth with a little bit of armor. You also need a survival method. If you can't survive the onslaught, if you're not going to be, if you're not going to put a stealth device on your weaker ships, then maneuverability can be, your balancing factor. If you're going interceptors, this is a popular way to go. Make sure that your interceptors have the tools they need to survive. For example, if you're going with Turfineer, you need to, or Suntir Fel rather. If you're going with Suntir Fel, you need to give him a push the limit, so that he can take the multiple actions. He can get out of a firing arc and also get the focus. Or Turfineer, you need to put him into a position where he can shoot and then get out of the way. So just deny them the ability to shoot you in the first place. That's better than any, having 3 agility. So maneuverability will trump. But then again, it's balanced, because you may end up going up against a turret build, or going up against a Falcon and an HWK and a Y-wing with a turret. So, you have to weigh all these things. You don't want everything to be into maneuverability. Because you may face a turret. The other thing is you want to spread your points out. You've got to spread your points out. You don't. Every time somebody has done this, every time somebody has loaded up a bomber with 2 torpedoes and 2 missiles and a proton bomb, they don't ever get to spend it all. That bomber is always the first target because you put like 46 or 50 points or more on one bomber. You're guaranteed to waste at least 20 points of unexploded ordnance that go down with that bomber when it dies. Same thing for the rebels. You know, if you're going to load up a B-wing with, you know, a named pilot and you know, heavy laser cannon and advanced sensors and engine upgrade and push the limit and a torpedo or 2 torpedoes, you know, you can put like 60 points or more on there. It's going to die because it's going to be targeted by every ship on the board, especially in a tournament setting too, because some games go to time and it all depends on, the winner is going to depend on how many points you've eliminated. And if they only take out 1 ship, but it's like a 60-point ship, that's probably going to be the game. Plus, even if you go, you know, even if it's not time, all they have to do is focus on 1 ship and they've taken out almost all your points. So you don't want to put all your points on one thing. In some cases, this is basically what I'm saying is quantity over quality. You know, don't run just 2 ships. You know, even though they're loaded up great, unless you're doing large scale ships and, you know, they're tanky enough. Like if you're running 2 Falcons, you can do that. There are viable builds for 2 Falcons, but you still have a lot of your eggs in one basket. So another thing about squad building I want to talk about is fun. Fun is the point of the game. It's a game. It's supposed to be fun. So try and have some, you know, build something that you're gonna have fun with. A build I hate is using 2 Outer Rim smugglers on the YT-1300 with, you know, anti-pursuit lasers, and 2 HWKs, each with an ion turret. And basically, what the whole strategy of this build is just to ionize all your ships so that they fly right into the Falcons and, you know, get hit with the anti-pursuit lasers. General idea here is that your opponent is never allowed to move or to shoot, and just dies and can't even play the game. What's the point in that? It's not fun. It's definitely not fun if you're the person who's getting ionized and shot. So think about the fun that you're going to put on your opponent as well. It's supposed to be fun for both players. You don't want to, I don't know, if you're playing casually, you don't want to just load up on all ionized, you know, ion turrets and ion cannons, because why put somebody else into a situation where they can't even play the game? You can play against yourself if you're just going to do that. And try to build different squads. I mean, one of the strengths of this game, I mean, I've been playing for a while now. I've never played the same build twice. Always play a different build. It really kind of, you know, try things that you haven't tried before. You know, maybe a named pilot. You know, if you got a TIE Advanced, you always run Vader, run Merrick Steele. You know, maybe you know, something that didn't read that good when you looked at it will turn out to be awesome. So there's that. You know, pick your least favorite ship and find a way to make it work. So there's that. If you're playing the Empire, you know, I've already talked about how important Hellrunner is, but you also, if you're doing secondary weapons, you're doing missiles or whatever, Jonas is also, Captain Jonas, he's a bomber pilot, really good for boosting secondary attacks. Stealth device is really important for a lot of TIEs, a lot of Imperial ships. Stealth devices, you know, turns 3 agility into 4 agility. I mean, I like stealth device on anything, but most people tend to agree that stealth device is really good on a 3 agility ship. It'll last longer, help you avoid getting hit. You know, so there's that. If you want to build a mix of like a large ship and some other ships, you know, go with maybe a slave, and, you know, a couple of other, you know, maybe a small swarm, maybe like two TIEs and a decked out slave. You spreading your points, you know, you kind of putting a lot of them into that slave, or you can do 2 bounty hunters is good. You can run 3 bounty hunters at 33 points apiece, and that's, you know, that's pretty tough because the slaves are very tanky. But you know, Imperial Aces just came out, so there's a lot of, you know, interceptor squads, a lot of interceptor builds that are going around. So, you know, look at those. Some of those pilots are really cool. Although not all of them can take the elite pilot. So So that's things to consider. If you're playing rebels, be aware of some of your power pilots. Biggs is huge. They have to target him if he's in range. So he's a great way to force them to spread points out. Maybe you keep Biggs in the back. And let them shoot at your big threats, and then you bring Biggs in when maybe your B-wing is almost dead. Now they can't finish him off; they have to target Biggs. So Biggs is a lot of fun. He fits into almost any build, and he's really effective even if you don't put any points on him. Though if you decide to put a stealth device on him, that makes it even better. Wedge is huge. If you don't have the X-wing expansion, then you need to get it, because Wedge is one of the most powerful pilots in the game. He's a pilot skill 9. There's only 4 pilot skill 9 pilots in the game, and he's one of them. Keep in mind, if you're going to use Y-Wings or the HWK, that they have a really bad dial. As a matter of fact, examine the dials of all of your ships. If you can do some test runs and fly them around and get to know all of your ships and how they're going to handle. Does it have a K turn? Lambdas and HWKs don't have a K turn. They're really hard to turn around. And a lot of their hard turns are red. If you're having trouble with a rebel build, X-wings and B-wings are both can't go wrong ships. Even the base models are good. You don't have to do much to a basic X-wing to make it excellent. B-wings, if you've got slaves and you've got heavy laser cannons, throw some heavy laser cannons on a B-wing. That's one of my favorite builds, is just a basic B-wing with a heavy laser cannon. That's your teeth. You can fit 2 of those in a build. You can fit 2 other ships. So basically that's about it. There's one more thing I want to throw at you, and if you're looking to build a squad, the best thing I can tell you is to Google Squad Builder for X-Wing Miniatures game. There's a couple of them out there. I think that's the first one that came up when I Googled. It's a UK site, and it's just fantastic. And there's several of them, and I've looked at 2 or 3, and they're all really good. But basically, it lets you just experiment with everything that's out there on your computer, and usually just a JavaScript, and it's fantastic. It lets you pre-plan a squad. You can choose which upgrades, and it keeps count of your point values. And what's really good is you can save them, you can export them, you can even, what I do, you can even access them on your phone. So if you go to play somewhere, you can just pull it up on your phone and be like, all right, I'm going to use this squad. But depending on what browser you're using, I've had problems with Chrome. I have an iPhone, so I use Safari. It works a little better in there, but sometimes it's still hard to read. So when I'm at home, I'll actually save them to a Word file and just print out maybe 6 or 7 squads. And just have that with me, of ones that I want to try. So when I'm someplace, I can just pull out my sheet instead of having to I can't read it all on my phone. Because if you put a lot of upgrades on one ship, it kind of goes from left to right, and it can go really far, and might not be able to read it on your phone. But the squad builder sites are absolutely fantastic. So check them out. And just have fun, really. I mean, if you're looking for tips to build a squad, you may be a newer player. Best thing I can tell you is just have a good time and have fun. Try something different every time you play. It's the most fun thing ever. It's one of the strengths and the beauties of this game. So good luck and happy hunting.